I met Matt and Jeff probably 5 or 6 years ago now. Been investing 6 years now, over 50 units now. I think we're up to 60 units now. Even if it's just a business card, here's what I do, here's what I want to do, here's where I see this business going. In order to submit an offer, I need to have 10 conversations. So in terms of commitment and not going to sleep till you do something, I find stacking habits is really helpful for me. And then it just becomes second nature. Once this pandemic hit, it was more of a, okay, we need to plan for the future. We're not always going to be making amazing money. The fact that we've been able to not see a dip in prices through this shows the resilience of London's market.
What is up, YouTube? Matt McKeever here, and in today's video, I'd like to think you're really in for a treat. You're going to see the behind the scenes of exactly what one of my wholesale team meetings look like. If you guys didn't know, I meet every 8 a.m. with my wholesale team on a Zoom call. Our wholesale team's constantly in flux, but it's always growing. In today's video, you're going to see Kevin Miller, who's a crazy successful real estate agent, investor, and just all-around great guy who's also focused on self-development, break down for my team just some of his tips and tricks for both how to succeed in real estate as well as how to succeed in life. If you guys don't know who Kevin Miller is, well, you'll see a little clip at the start of the video where he kind of breaks down who he is. But he's got over 60 units here in London, Ontario. Very young, very driven individual. I've known him for a few years now, and this is just kind of a sample of what it's like to be on my wholesale team. So every week we're bringing in a different guest lecturer just to talk to my team, because it's one thing to know that real estate investing is possible. It's another when you actually hear it from the horse's mouth, when you meet another successful investor. And one of the biggest struggles I find is that my team, they can kind of become comfortably numb to my words. In fact, I'm pretty sure at this point in time, they all just see me like an annoying dad that just rambles on. So I'm pretty sure those of you that know like the Peanuts comics, I'm pretty sure it's just like that, where it's just like literally they just hear when I talk. So it's really important that I bring in other people so that my team can get different perspectives. And I hope for you guys, you also realize the value in my YouTube channel and having all those different perspectives. I promise you, you don't believe it, but if you had nonstop 24-hour Casey Wong, you would stop listening to him. It's just human nature. So anyway, it's really exciting. This is like a master class on real estate investing and relationship building that Kevin breaks down for us. So let's dive into today's video. Do you want to just give us a quick breakdown of who Kevin Miller is?
Yeah, absolutely. So I met Matt and Jeff probably 5 or 6 years ago now. I'm also a real estate investor. We crossed paths quite a bit in our careers. I think we most commonly cross paths in the investment side of things. Jeff and I'm a realtor like Jeff. I focus primarily on investments. I also invest with partners, just like Matt and Jeff do. So very similar there. I think we noticed early on in our careers that we're going to be crossing paths more often than not. So we kind of communicate with each other and, keep in constant contact. I'm not so much on the massive team kind of side like Matt and Jeff are, which I love what they do. So I kind of try to keep in constant contact with them and in my investing and things that I do, just so we can all stay on the same page. So been investing 6 years now. For you guys that know me, sorry to bore you here. Over 50 units now. I think we're up to 60 units now. Invest with, there's 4 of us in my group that invest together. I own, I think, 12 completely on my own, and then another somewhere in the 40s with my partners. Always buying more property. That's what we do. Very similar to you guys. That's my 2 cents. That's what I do, and I'll be happy to tune in with you guys today.
Yeah, appreciate that. Just context, Kevin. So Kevin's came to some of our physical in-team meetings. Regularly, we'd have someone kind of drop in that's a local expert. So often it would be Kevin or Cloud or Jeff, so, like another realtor, right, that's really dialed into our market. Kevin is extremely motivated, really high level, crushing it in the game. So I think one of the things I'd like to explore with you, Kevin, is all these guys need to find their own Kevin or their own Jeff Weibo. Any thoughts on how you identify like a young, hungry realtor? Like, what separates you from all the other realtors in your office? Or is there anything that we could use as a telltale sign to spot the next Kevin Miller?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is noticing that myself, Jeff, Cloud, we're absolutely nothing special. There's not this magic fucking pill that you take that makes you, a special realtor. But I think it's starting with, if I were you, I would let every realtor. Shouldn't say every realtor in the city, but basically anyone and everyone that you come in contact with, even if it's just a business card. Here's what I do. Here's what I want to do. Here's where I see this business going, and kind of just. I found early on, I told so many people what I do, and that's how I found my investors as well. It's like, if you're a realtor, how can I get on that list? And then give some sort of value. That's how I started, again, with my investor, providing that value. Okay. I find a lot, if you're looking for a young, hungry realtor, a young, hungry anything, it's here's what I want from you. Here's what I want from you. Here's what I want from you. Whereas if you can flip that and maybe take the approach to a realtor of, hey, what would you like? How would you see a partnership with me working? Here's what I do. And how does what I do work for you? How can you see me helping you? And when you start providing the, how can I help you? I think you'll find that the young, hungry realtors that are out there will take a liking to you, because all they're used to hearing is, hey, how can you help me? How can you help me? And the difference is the young, hungry Jeff Wybos out there are looking for, okay, I don't need to help you. I'm well off. How can you help me? And when you provide that value first, I think you'll find that there's, a handful of realtors in the city, or even, it doesn't have to be realtors, but a handful of people in the city that would be more than willing to help you. The rule of reciprocity, right? If you're providing value to them, then obviously it's going to naturally come back.
Love it. Yeah, absolutely agree. And I feel like there's a lot of similar verbiage there, guys, right? I feel like you could almost substitute one of my speeches for what Kevin just said right there. Kevin, I think were you the one that introduced me to the 4 Ds of Discipline, that book, with where it tracks scoreboards and all that? And
Love
talks
that.
about, yeah. So I've really loved that book. Recently, we've been trying to really step up our game in regards to our scoreboards and our lead and lag measures.
Oh,
So,
sure.
and Tyler just realized he didn't fill out the sheet.
I forgot.
So I don't know if you can really see, it's probably small if you're on cell phone, but this is one of our, this is our primary scoreboard that we track every single day. And what the blue is what we've committed to as a team in regards to offers to make on a daily basis. And then red is our actual offers made throughout the month. So the way I like to view this really is as a scoreboard, and the blue is the opposing team, red is our score. And for me, the number one lead measure for us as wholesalers is offers made. It's the one thing, the one big domino I believe that we have to do every time to get a deal. As well, it's the number one metric for success based upon our past experience as well. So actually looking at the data that we've had in the past. I'd love to get your input, and I'd love just to hear your perspective. I keep telling these guys that there's really no secret to success with wholesaling, that the number one thing that we can do to increase our chances of getting deals and making money is making more offers. If you disagree, feel free to challenge me. This is like really an open space. So if anything comes to mind in regards to how you would go about keeping track or keeping score versus the way we're doing it here, I'm very open to hearing that perspective, Kevin. But then otherwise, we'd just love to hear your thoughts on if you were trying to succeed more as a wholesaler, what would be things you'd look at doing?
Yeah, I love that. I think offers made are a great lead measure. So yeah, I think that's a great lead measure. And if you want to get really down into the weeds, and this is just how I do it. So I'm more of I do it more on a real estate agent, real estate investor side second, but I have a real estate coach, and we measure things as, and I don't know if it works in your business, but you correct me if I'm wrong, we measure all the way down to conversations. So in order to submit an offer, I need to have 10 conversations. In order to get 10 conversations, I need to make 4 Instagram posts or whatever that may be. So I track as low down into the weeds as conversations. So I know for me, if I have 20 conversations, I'm going to get 3 appointments. And if I get 3 appointments, I can usually get 1 end. And in real estate, an end is a sale. So if I can get if I can have 20 conversations for 3 appointments and 1 end, then that my measurement there is okay. I just need to have more conversations. So you guys are doing it very similar to offers, but maybe if you made another scoreboard and tracked conversations and appointments, and it doesn't have to be conversations, but if offers are something that you say, okay, we submit 10 offers and we get 2 deals, then how do we get to those 10 offers? And if you can backtrack it a little bit further, I think that might be helpful. And that's a discipline that I took from that book. And kind of the great thing about a coach, and you guys have amazing coaches in Matt and Jeff and Adam and Mike, is you can actually go and tell them, okay, we want to get 3 deals this month. Let's backtrack that and see how we do that. Because number one, you want to get appointments, right? And if it's virtual appointments or whatever it is, you start with conversations. And conversations are something as easy as you're in a coffee shop and you maybe buy the person behind you their coffee. Well, that's going to start a conversation right there. So that's one conversation. And I find it very powerful. People that, I find oftentimes I ask someone what they do. That's the way I start it. What do you do? Because they're going to reciprocate. What do you do? That opens it right away. So I know I'm getting deep into the weeds on conversations, but everything we do, I think if we're having conversations with people and opening that up, hey, what do you do? I just bought you a coffee, oh, thanks for the coffee. Yeah, no problem. I'm Kevin. What do you do? And then that opens it up, right? And then they're going to ask you, you tell them, you have that card that says, what I do is I make people money, right? And everyone wants to hear more on that. So I think it comes down to conversations. I love the scoreboard that you guys have there. I think it's great. And scoreboards have really, really, really helped in our business as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. And what Kevin was saying there too, notice the introduction he kind of told you guys to have has a hook to it. Just like Casey Wong's introduction also has a hook. When someone's like to Casey, hey, what do you do? He says, I'm in real estate. And then they naturally ask like, oh, so you're an agent? And he says, no, actually, I'm an investor. And so he's again leading them down a conversation where there's naturally an engagement there where they naturally want to ask a follow-up question, and it's getting you further along the conversation. So Kevin, do you set like a certain number of goals per day, week, or month for yourself in regards to conversations? Like, do you have a budget?
Yeah, I do. And so I use something very, very, very simple. It's called 554. And I think that it's a great way to track your conversations, track your leads. So every single day I need to have 5, it's called 554. And 5 conversations are with people I've met. So right now I'm actually doing my 5 right now. It's great. There's 5 people on this call that I've met. So it's touching base with people that you've met before. And it's not always about doing business. And again, this isn't a roadmap to your success, or this is absolutely how you do it. This is how I do it. And if anyone else wants to jump in and challenge me on how it won't work in your industry, I can show you how it will. But so I start with 5 people that you've met. And again, is that Matt? Is that Cloud? Is that Jeff? Is that Mike? 5 people I've met. We just have a conversation. And typically these people you met are people that know, like, and trust you, or they're in your sphere, and you're going to end up talking about real estate. And I find anytime I talk to these 5 people I've met, you're going to get into something where, oh, there's this deal out there. I just did this deal, and I did this deal with so-and-so. So he also has this deal. Why don't you talk to him? So there's the 5 people that you've met. And then there's 5 people that you haven't met. That goes back to the coffee shop, on Zooms. For me, I do some online leads, so I can converse with those online leads. Maybe it's emails, maybe it's Instagram. Instagram's great. DM someone. I'm talking virtual, right? Like typically when I'm out in the marketplace, it's super easy for me to talk to 5 people I haven't met. I'm out for lunch every day. I'm in coffee shops. But okay, maybe you're reaching out on Instagram. 5 people you haven't met, and it's providing value. Here's what I do. What do you do? Or vice versa. And then there's 4 follow-ups. So you go to the day before or the week before, and you're writing all this down, met, haven't met, And the 5 people I haven't met, I'm going to follow up with them. Four people. So I'm going to make 4 follow-ups that day and say, hey, we met at so-and-so, or hey, we had a conversation last week. I just wanted to follow up and see how things are going. So that's called the 5-5-4, and it works great for me. I do it every single day. It's in my book. I can't go to sleep until I've done it. And I find it very, very, very helpful.
I love that, Kevin. Let's kind of build upon that there. You can't go to sleep until you've done it. That sort of commitment to not breaking promises to yourself, or, commitments you've made to yourself. I think that that's really big, and being able to stack those wins on a consistent basis versus stacking those losses on a consistent basis. I think it's something that we as a team have really struggled to do, because what happens is we miss one day of our offer commitment, and then it sluggishly rolls into the second day. And all of a sudden now we've started to create a pattern of breaking promises or commitments to ourselves. Are you really diligent about making sure that when you set that commitment that you follow through and hit it on whatever basis you set, daily, weekly, monthly?
Yeah, I find myself very motivated on, I tell myself I'm going to do something. I have a book that, I don't have it with me, but I have a book that I carry around everywhere I go that basically, I'm a big follower of a guy named Andy Frisella. I don't know if you guys follow him at all.
Yeah, the 75 hard guy, right?
Yeah. So Andy, I've never done 75 hard, nor would I. I like to have beers and stuff, but it's a great concept. But the 75 hard is called a power list, or part of 75 hard is something called a power list, and it's 5 things you need to do every day before you go to sleep. So for my 75 hard, it's more of a lifestyle. It's not okay. I need to exercise twice, I need to diet. No, it's 5 things that I need to get done today before I can go to sleep. How does that look? Okay, it's reading 10 pages. It's doing my 5-5-4. It's making 3 multifamily calls on people that I want to do business with. It's having 20 conversations, or setting 3, whatever that may look like, right? So I set those 5 things. And there's a book on habits, I forget what it's called, but it talks about stacking habits. So the way I do my power list is, the easiest thing for me to do is work out. So I work out first thing in the morning. I've been doing it my whole life, so it's easy for me. Well, after that, let's stack a habit on top of that you normally wouldn't like doing. So if working out for me is easy, I'm going to stack right on top of that reading 10 pages, because I hate reading. So by 7:30 in the morning, I've read 10 pages and I've worked out. What's the next thing I don't like? So you start stacking those on top of each other, and they start getting easier. So in terms of commitment and not going to sleep till you do something, I find stacking habits is really helpful for me. And then it just becomes second nature. And then the whole idea of that power list is, now that you're committed to these 5 things, workout used to be on my power list, one of the 5 things I had to do a day. Now, it's a cop-out if you've been doing it for 80 days straight. Maybe that's not on your list anymore. You're doing it. It's in your routine now. So put something else on that list, and you'll find yourself, if you keep doing that power list or keep doing those 5 things, you'll find yourself really building and wanting to complete that. I know for me, I feel like absolute shit if I go to sleep and haven't done those 5 things on my list. And then it will get to be a point to be like that, where you're just going to start feeling like shit if you don't finish those things on your list. So it's very important.
Yeah, I love it. So do you mind any interesting books you're currently reading, seeing how you mentioned reading?
You know what I'm reading right now? It's funny. Well, I just finished the Goggins book. Has anyone read the David Goggins book? It's great. I think it's called Can't Hurt Me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good book.
It's phenomenal. I'm actually reading The Wealthy Barber Returns right now, which is kind of, I needed a refresher. I've gotten caught up in the last probably 3 years on, I'll be honest, it's one of my faults, materialistic things. I bought a new house. We put in a pool. I started to live a cushy lifestyle and spend what I make. And I wanted to get back down into the financial planning and how to not, especially once this pandemic hit, it was more of okay, we need to plan for the future. We're not always going to be making amazing money. So what I'm reading right now is The Wealthy Barber Returns. It's great. It talks about financial fundamentals, but I think any book on fundamentals and getting back to the basics is very important. So that's just the one I'm reading right now. I know it doesn't completely, yes, Mike's got it there. It's a great book, and it's all about getting, and I think if it doesn't relate, completely to what you guys are doing, I think it's just, you feel really good when your finances are in order, right? Whether it's saving 10% of your paycheck every month, or I think, again, let's talk about stacking habits. You can build on that. You wake up, you feel good because you have your finances in order. Having order in your life is a great way to, again, stack on those habits. You have order in your life, you work out, you have these routines. I think that's great. So for me, I needed to get back to those basics because I was started to get caught up in the, okay, let's live the life of the rich and famous right now. I'm neither rich nor famous. I have to stop doing this. So that's why I went to that book.
I love it. Sounds like organization is an important part of a lot of what you do, right? Do you mind just touching upon that? How do you stay organized?
Yeah, I try my best to stay organized. I carry a book around that. I write everything down, all my appointments, everything's written down. I also have my whiteboard behind me that has my goals, I'm an active realtor. So biggest thing for me is writing down appointments, writing down listings, writing down pending transactions, all that stuff. I'm huge with writing things down, kind of archaic that way. I don't use my iPhone to schedule everything. I find once it's written down, it has to get done. So the big part of my organization is I actually carry around an archaic day planner that I plan out all my days, stay organized that way. And then I have my weekly, monthly, 5-year, 20-year goals always written out behind me. They're forever changing. I spend a lot of time in my office. I have the whiteboard like this at my office downtown, at my home office, and I'm constantly changing that. So for me, it's writing things down. So I have a book to do that, and I have 2 whiteboards as well. For you, it might be writing things down in your phone. I find once it's written down, you have to do it. You're not just going to delete something that you wrote down. You're going to get it done. So writing things down is huge for me.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. So let's kind of take it in a different direction then. Well, actually, one last question first. One of the struggles that I think a lot of our wholesalers have is we'll do big flyer campaigns, right? So we'll send out a bunch of flyers, direct marketing. All of a sudden, that will drum up a lot of business. And all of a sudden, you'll almost get overwhelmed with phone calls. How do you deal with like incoming calls and kind of like being in a flow state, or like when you're in the zone? Do you only take calls at a certain time? Do you drop everything for phone calls? How do you go about treating inbound calls, Kevin?
Yeah, so I'm a victim to my phone. Anytime a call comes in, when my phone rings, that's money. I'm very motivated by money, and it's not a bad thing. Money's great. You can live an amazing life with money, and I'm very motivated by money. So I almost will talk, it's almost a trigger for me. When my phone rings, that triggers money, and I answer it. And maybe that's the wrong way to be, but I don't care because I like money. So
I love that.
Yeah, so the second I think to myself, okay, and you guys, I'm married, and it's sometimes tough, but yeah, when my phone rings, I answer it. And even even if you're on the phone with someone else, or even when you're with a client, and this is the way I do it, and a lot of people don't agree with this. I answer my phone. If I'm with an important client, I answer my phone and I say, hey, just so you know, my phone's ringing. If it were you calling, I'd also answer it. I answer my phone. Hey, I'm with Matt right now. I'll give you a call back. Done. That goes a long way. So answering calls. Now, there's delegation as well. I have a lot of online leads that are calling. They call my office. They'd leave a message and say, hey, I need Kevin to get a hold of me. So do I give everyone my cell phone number? No. So the people that do have my cell phone number, I'm going to answer the phone for them. But the people that maybe you have a different, and I don't want to change your whole setup here, but maybe you have another line that when wholesalers call in, it's someone's going to answer. Who is it that day? You have a big team. Someone should always be answering the phone, and maybe you delegate that. But for me right now in my business, I'm fairly, I've only been doing this 5 or 6 years now. Yeah, I'm answering my phone all the time, and I don't care. There's no excuse. If your phone's ringing, if someone has your number, answer the fucking phone.
I love it. Yeah, no, I really appreciate getting your perspective on that. So one last more kind of general business, and then maybe we'll dive into some London, Ontario real estate stuff. But like, first of all, I want to qualify the statement. Like, Kevin, you're crushing it. I love seeing you consistently level up and see you evolve over time. But I also know that you're a person that's focused on continuously improving yourself. And that's one of our core values as a company as well. So what's something right now that you know you should be doing, or something that's going to take you to the next level that you're kind of hesitating or holding yourself back on?
Yeah, so I need to hire someone. That's in order for me to level up. I need to. So I have an admin that works with me, and they're great. But again, when I say I answer my phone all the time, yeah, that's great. But let's talk a little bit about text message, emails, stuff like that. There's money in those places too. There's hidden sources of wealth everywhere, and I can't do everything. So in order for me to level up, and my problem is right now, one of my biggest problems is I'm trying to do everything. So in order for me to level up, I need to hire someone else that's handling my online stuff. I pay monthly for online leads, and it's working great. And maybe your business can explore something like that as well. But when my online leads come in, it's like, okay, here's an email that I need to send out, or someone says, hey, what about this property? Maybe I missed that. So if I'm too busy doing this I know that there's money here, I'm missing the money there and there and there. So it's for me to level up to the next step, I'm going to need to hire another admin to kind of take care of all the incoming stuff. And moving forward in the next 3 to 5 years, I'm going to really step back from the active real estate agent stuff, and I'm going to be primarily a real estate. We're looking to move outside of southwestern Ontario. We have our eyes on a few things I've shared with Matt before. I won't get too much into it, but we're looking to really ramp up in our investing over the next few years. So it's getting those systems built out, and it's all about systems. For me, it's hiring an admin to deal with online leads. For you, it may be something else, but it's having those systems that takes the work off of you, because the way it should work is you should have way more coming in than you could handle, and then that's how you expand. For me, I'm long past that breaking point. I need to hire someone else. So that's where I struggle right now, is dealing with all this shit that's coming in.
I appreciate you sharing that. Okay, let's pivot hard now into the London, Ontario real estate market. So what's your opinion of what's going on right now? Is the market softening? Is it exactly the same as it was before? Is it about to become hotter than ever? What do you see in your crystal ball? And we all know that crystal balls aren't 100% accurate.
So it is definitely not like it's been before. It's not business as usual. I'll share some quick numbers. We're down April last year to April this year. That's the most recent stats. We're 50.6% down. In a normal market, I think we'd be up 8 to 10% right now in terms of sales price. We're up, I think it's 0.4. Don't quote me on that. It's less than 1%.
Yeah, we checked it yesterday. I think it was 0.4.
0.4. So in my opinion, I think we should be up. The way that, and Jeff can attest to this, the way that we were trending in January, February of this year, we would have been up 8 to 10%, no doubt, in April, May, June. The fact that we've been able to not see a dip in prices through this shows the resilience of London's market. And if there's a recession-proof economy out there, I'm not saying there is, I'm saying it's going to be London. Like, if you look back at 2008, we also had a slight increase, or just below a zero increase. And if we can see 50% of the listings not go out to the market and the prices stay the same through a global pandemic, that's amazing. And you still have, I know you guys obviously know the DCI guys. They're still sending out properties. They're still doing their thing. So it's not business as usual to me, but I think in London, we're going to be just fine. And it's a great time to, when everyone's, there's a lot of agents out there that have buried their head. And I'm talking on agents because that's what I do. But, relate it to your business. But there's a lot of agents out there that have said, yep, this sucks. We're in big trouble. We're going to stay inside for the next 6 months. And hopefully one day we can fix this. Whereas the other agents that you see that are out there working, they're getting the deals, and hey, prices are still the same. So there's still tons of deals to be had out there. If this market's going to soften, again, my opinion, it's going to be 18 months from now. It's not going to be now. The government is pumping money into people's hands irresponsibly. And I think that that's going to short term keep everyone kind of consumer confidence somewhat high. And as long as they're pumping money into the economy, I think that real estate, everyone needs real estate, so that will continue to be strong. But in my opinion, when this whole thing's over and it's 18 months from now, and I'm not saying it's going to be over in 18 months, I'm just speculating, and you're looking back kind of laughing at how we handled this, then we may see a softening. But for the next 6 to 18 months, I think we're going to be steady. And we've been talking as a group. I think this year the spring market is going to happen in June, July, and August, where we usually see February, March, and April, a little bit of May, as the spring market, the busiest time in real estate. I think this year it's going to be June, July, and August. I'm just one person. That's my opinion. I could be completely wrong. Hope I'm not. But I think that that's where I can see it going.
I appreciate you sharing your perspective. Do you mind, like, not every realtor is as knowledgeable as you are. Like, in my opinion, there's a handful of realtors that are on a different level, and you're one. So I'd love to hear what sort of deals or what sorts of metrics do you use to know that immediately you've got an opportunity, or, you know, what sort of deals get you excited even in this market?
To be honest with you, and this goes against what I do, for me to know it's a good deal, a realtor's probably not bringing it to me, and it's probably not on MLS. The deals out there are from work, right? From you going out there and doing the work. You know, there's so many. I'm a cap rate guy on the big stuff. Price per unit's kind of gone out the window for me, because that's fucking crazy now too. So I use, obviously, just like everyone else, I use cap rate and sometimes price per unit. But to note, like, no realtor is going to come to you, I don't care who you are, and say, hey, look at this amazing deal I just found for you, if they don't know you. So for me to find a great deal, it's more putting in the work, digging down into the weeds, and finding those things kind of off the real estate market. And in terms of sensing an opportunity, I think it's seeing a need. Maybe you're on Kijiji and you're looking at for rent properties. Maybe you're looking at duplexes that are for rent that have been on Kijiji for the last 60 days. No one wants to rent those properties. There's an opportunity, right? So it's finding someone with a need that they can't have filled. Well, then maybe you could fill that need in a different way, which is, okay, you can't rent the property. What's wrong with it? I may be able to help you rent this property. Now you're starting a conversation. You know in your head you're not going to help them rent it. You want to buy it. But at the same time, that's a good way to spot someone's need and kind of segue that need into, okay, I can't fill your direct need here, but maybe we can fill it elsewhere. So spotting that need and transitioning it into somewhere, thinking outside the box where, okay, yeah, maybe you're not renting this property, maybe you're selling it now, or there's many other ways, but I think that that's a good opportunity starter right there. Practical.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are your current needs? What can these guys do to actually help Kevin Miller?
Yeah, so I'm buying a lot. Like, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 9 investor buyers on my list right now, that I'm actively looking for properties. So any opportunity out there in London, I'm a big, for my investors, I have a lot of first-time investors. It's more of the London market. We don't dive too much into like Woodstock, Chatham, but we will. So, single family or multifamily in London, just opportunity deals out there. You send me anything, I'm going to look at it regardless of what it is. Anything that you send me, I'm going to look at. But I'm looking for myself, large multifamily, very large multifamily, anywhere in Ontario or anywhere within a 5-hour radius. So large multifamily, anything over 12 units. Bit of a conflict because I know Matt and Jeff are heavy on that as well. Send it to them first, me second. And you know what, if you're sending that stuff to Matt and Jeff, they're going to run it by me anyway if they don't want it. So I think your need's filled there. But for my clients' needs, single family home all the way up to fourplex, I deal with a lot of first time investors. Doesn't have to be 1% rule. Any like a 0.8% rule is fine. Stuff like that, send it to me and I can definitely get it sold for you guys. Fix and flips are fine as well. But anything that has that type of potential, we're going to look at. I don't want to give too much of a criteria because, like I say, I have 9 buyers. They all want different things. So for me to go over person's criteria, send me everything you have. I'd love to look at it. And we're looking, just keep in mind, we're looking for investment properties. So like, I don't really care to see a $900,000 house up on Fitzwilliam. Like, we're looking for investment properties. So, but there's no price limit either. Hey, if it's a $900,000 sixplex that has a 5.5% cap rate, yeah, we'll sell that too.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Love it. So any other kind of let's first open it up. Do you guys got any questions for Kevin? Maybe we'll do a quick little lightning round. Just keep your questions concise and to the point, but let's quickly barrage Kevin with questions if he's willing to.
When for people you haven't talked to, I get a lot of inbound calls, and for follow-ups, like, tell me if this is cheating. I don't know if it's not, but is follow-up, because following up with 4 people from inbound calls daily, I think that'd put me at way more follow-ups than I do right now. Would that be a good step to 554?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're 554. Again, in my business, I'm very, I'm an active realtor. So in my business, I'm constantly, I'm out showing properties. I'm taking care of emails. I'm doing offers. I'm busy as well. So 554 is something. What 554 really is an hour of power. You're blocking an hour out in your day. It's called an hour of power, and you're doing your 5 met, your 5 haven't met, and your 4 follow-ups in 1 hour. So to answer your question, yeah, you can absolutely do those follow-ups in any way you like. It's just getting them done within that hour.
Right on. And then when that becomes my habit, I'll just add follow-ups with someone else and things like that.
Yeah, and when you followed up with someone that day, you're not going to follow up with them again tomorrow. You're going to follow up with them next week. And, you almost feel like you're cheating, but no, the more they want to be followed up with, right? So you want to follow up with that person until they tell you to fuck off or stop following up with them. So continuously following up. And sometimes it's hard to get your 4. 4 seems easy, but okay, 25 people last week told me to never talk to them again. Who am I going to follow up with now? Oh, I've met 5 people. I haven't met 5 people. So there's 10 right there. Let's follow up with 4 of them. So, and maybe in your business, maybe just starting out in your business, maybe it's 10, 10, 8. Maybe it's 20, 20, 16. Right? Maybe it's 40, 40, 32, whatever. That works for me because, again, I'm running a business here. I'm not, as you guys are, I'm not taking anything away from that, but I'm 1 hour. It's an hour of power. That's how I'm getting it done. Maybe for you, it's 5 hours of power and you're doing that 80, 80, 64. So it's just whatever works for you. For me, 554 works, and it gives me enough consistency and follow-up that I can consistently make it work. What you don't want to do is overcommit and not get it done, because that creates a losing mindset. And the second you have a losing mindset, it doesn't work. And I'm going to sound like a broken record because I'm sure Matt and Jeff, this is all they tell you guys, but we read the same books. We take in the same content. So this stuff works.
Yeah, this stuff works if you work. Like it's literally that simple. If you're willing to put in the work, this shit works.
And I did notice that, and I like that Matt brought you on, because I told him this in the past. Like, we hear our stuff from our mentors, and then when we hear it from a third party, it just clicks a little bit better.
Absolutely.
They pretty much view me as a parent now at this point, so they just don't listen to any of my advice, Kevin. So that's why I need to bring guys like you on.
No, I appreciate it. And I honestly, when you asked me to be on this morning, I didn't realize it was going to be a whole talk like this. I thought I was going to be taking in content, but I'm fine with both ways. So
okay, cool. Appreciate it. Roll with the punches.
Thank you, Kevin.
I got a question for you. You mentioned that you feel the market won't get too affected until 18 plus months from now. What are your thoughts on the commercial market right now? Because we're seeing a dip in that. I just want to see what your thoughts would be on the commercial side.
The commercial side is one of the best hidden opportunities that I've ever seen right now. You're going to see so many resident or commercial to residential conversions. Again, let's think outside the box. Okay, there's all of these. There is going to be some household names that in 18 months no longer exist. Let's talk about the Mandarin, right? It's a Chinese buffet. Two things people hate right now, right? So, and again, like it's, so a company like that, maybe there's no more Mandarin. So maybe it used to be RioCan. I think it's Canadian Commercial now that bought them. Anyway, maybe the company, maybe their landlord has all of the Mandarins across Canada are no longer available. Okay, so let's look at TD Bank or big banks like that. All those guys are working from home. The problem with all these guys working from home right now, the biggest problem that they're facing is deals are still getting done, and that's a problem. Because all of these people working from home at the banks and the deals are getting done, does that mean that these big office towers in downtown Toronto or even London, the TD towers in London, does that mean that they don't need to have their employees in there anymore? What are we going to do with all this space? Well, there's going to be huge opportunity for residential conversions that way. And it's finding a way you're going to see a transition in that. And there's going to be household names that you never thought would have happened, I guarantee it, that go out of business. Like when Future Shop went out of business. Best Buy's probably going to go out of business. The Mandarin, and just throwing out random names. Does York Developments go out of business because they have too much commercial real estate? And when York now this is a long shot, but when York Developments goes out of business, is it not just their commercial side? Has the residential side been bringing up their commercial side this whole time? So yeah, you're going to see big opportunities. There's going to be some household names that are no longer with us. I almost guarantee it. And it's recognizing those opportunities and finding ways to transition. Okay, there's no more commercial tenants in these buildings. Let's go out there and find more commercial tenants. Well, no, let's maybe convert these to residential, or how do you fill that need? And again, it's seeing someone's need, a commercial tenant, and transitioning it to, will this work as well? And so many different opportunities. And okay, maybe and again, long shot, but let's just think outside the box for a second. Hey, TD Bank, they just sold that building actually for 61 million. So that's a bad example. But hey, TD Bank, maybe you're still the landlord and maybe we lease back 4 floors from you. And maybe you let us do a design build 1 floor at a time. And maybe you give us some financing and we're going to guarantee you once we get this rented that you're going to get 60% of our rents until it's paid back. There's so many different ways to look at this. You don't have to buy an office tower. It's finding creative ways to make these commercial spaces work because I do believe they're going to be available. So to circle back and answer your question, yes,
that's good.
Commercial is going to be absolutely affected in the biggest way, and there's going to be the best opportunities in the commercial market.
Awesome, man. That's some good info. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And then just building upon that a little bit, Kevin, do you mind just real quickly exploring how you would recommend to these guys that they evaluate quickly potential versus not potential in like commercial conversion stuff, let's say? Because I know sometimes we can like you or I can throw out a strategy and it sounds good in theory, but then when they get to it in practice. So I guess, and I'll maybe give you some context to where at least my thoughts are on this. But for example, what Kevin's saying is absolutely true. But the key is we're probably going to be acquiring that commercial space at a very low cost per square foot, right? Because we're going to have to convert it. There's a lot of perceived risk in converting it, right? Because we need the city on board and a lot of that. There's a lot of dominoes there to stack. So I would suspect that at least some of the scenarios that Kevin's throwing out, you would kind of structure the deal conditional upon approvals or conditional upon some sort of signal from the city or bylaw officers or the zoning department, whoever, that yes, this can actually be done. Is that correct, Kevin? Or what would you say?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'll build on that a little bit too. For I know you guys do wholesaling, so we'll try to bring it back full circle with wholesaling. You're not going to call TD Bank downtown and say, hey, I know you have 32-story towers. I'd like to submit an offer because I'm going to wholesale that building. And the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to do a residential conversion. No, you're going to look at smaller opportunities. You're going to look at Subway downtown. The landlord for that Subway that rents $180,000 space, maybe you can get a bachelor unit in the back. And since that Subway is now pulled out, and again, this is not a real life example, I'm just trying to put it into context. Maybe you buy that for $180,000, which is $80 per square foot, and it's worth $110, but it's an alternative to bankruptcy for that landlord. Hey, landlord, your need is to keep your head above water because you have all these other big buildings. Why don't we pay you $80 a square foot for this property, keep your head above water, and then you look at putting, maybe a residential space in the back. You're making $1,200 a month from that residential space in the back. Now you can afford to rent the commercial space at $900. You're getting $2,100. They were only getting $1,600 before. Now you can sell that idea to someone like me. And when I say someone like me, someone that has investor clients. Hey, investor clients, we haven't seen a deal in a long time. Check out this opportunity. You can own this vacant Subway that the idea is, pending approvals, they're going to put in a residential unit at the back, and you only actually have to get $600 for the commercial space, whereas before they were getting $1,500, but we're going to make up the difference in residential. Sell that idea. And then build on that. And then take it to a bigger, 10,000 square foot space. And then maybe call TD Bank. But it's starting with those small building blocks. And again, like Matt said, yes, absolutely pending on city approvals. And it's not going to be as easy as, we put in 6 offers today. The offer on your commercial stuff is going to be a lot different. But the good news is these landlords aren't going to go out of business until the government stops pumping money into their businesses, which is probably going to be a little bit of time. So you have some time to explore that and explore how it works. And again, this is kind of off the top of my head stuff. I haven't spent too much time on it. I'm just trying to give you as much value as I can.
Yeah, no, that was perfect, Kevin. I really appreciate you giving them like a small example just to illustrate. That was excellent. All right. Awesome. Well, really appreciate it, Kevin. Before we wrap up, any other last moments of advice and any other last parting piece of advice for these guys before you leave us?
I think we're in for your guys' business for wholesaling in Southwestern Ontario. I think that you're not going to see a better opportunity than right now to take advantage of it. Right now, when a landlord has a leaky toilet, it may be the last straw because their tenant hasn't paid in 3 months. Right now, when a landlord's tenant doesn't pay and then a window breaks, it's the last straw. I think this created such a huge opportunity for the wholesaling business that some people are saying it's a bad thing for the real estate market. In my opinion, as a real estate investor, the best time to buy is in a time like this. So you can bring people so many opportunities. It's out there finding a need, okay, so this person's on their last. Do you call a contractor? Do you call a plumber and say, hey, Mr. Plumber? Do you call 10 plumbers and say, hey, Mr. Plumber, what's the last property you went in that the landlord just looked defeated? Hey, Mr. Electrician, what's the last property that you went into and you just saw that, this landlord didn't want to deal with any more electrical issues? Now, if I incentivized you, maybe if I gave you a finder's fee or something, would you be willing to share that? And if I were able to complete a deal with these people, I could pay you $500. It's finding opportunities like that. I think there's a ton out there. And it's maybe not calling the landlord. Because anytime someone calls me and says, hey, Kevin, I notice you have a problem. I'd like to take advantage of you. I'm going to tell you to fuck off. But if you frame it in a different way, there's absolutely opportunities. I think the biggest opportunity is right now on the back end of this thing as we're coming out of it. Because once we're out of it, landlords are going to say, wow, we could deal with that. We can deal with anything. But right now, when they're not getting paid and their toilet's leaking and their problems, there's small problems turn into big problems in a big hurry. And it's identifying those small problems and seeing how you can help.
Awesome. That was fire advice. Really appreciate it, Kevin. We know your time's valuable. So again, hopefully these guys start filling your inbox with deals that you can assign to your investors, and let's all make some money together.
Absolutely, guys. My pleasure chatting, and we'll definitely do it again.
Awesome. Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks again to Kevin for taking the time. I thought this was an absolutely amazing conversation that he and I had for the benefit of my team. Kevin had a ton of great insight, so I hope you guys were taking notes or that you'll jump back and rewatch this video. Again, thank you to Kevin Miller. If you guys want to see another video on my YouTube channel with Kevin Miller, we actually had him back on the channel like years ago, so we'll throw it up right there, that video with Kevin Miller. Or if you guys want to see another one of our wholesale team meetings, we actually met up with another great successful realtor, Cloud. You guys can check out that video down here. Otherwise, until next time, remember, making money is a team sport. There's more than enough money in this world for us to all make it, but if you're not saving it, I mean, like, what's the point? Thanks, guys.